guys, welcome to my third episode, or third part of the PlayStation 1 games that I think kick absolute ass. And I'm starting off strong here with the 1996 first-person shooter Alien Trilogy. This is one of the very first games I had and played on the PlayStation 1, and what a game to start with. It's just really great. It has a great atmosphere. It obviously controls a little bit difficultly at times because of the age of it and all that. Is before analog sticks were invented, but it's pretty authentic to the Alien mythos, apart from the fact that you start off as with Alien 1 at Hadley's Hope on LV-426, so it's not an exact one-to-one recreation of the Alien trilogy, but it's just badass. You can shoot facehuggers, kill chestbursters burst out of people. There are Weyland-Yutani shills that you've got to shoot the crap out of as well, and you can just pick up a whole host of different weapons, blow up eggs, and yeah, just so on and so forth. This is a great Alien game and still well worth playing today. Croc, Legend of the Gobos was released in 1997 and was developed by Argonaut Software, and it's a charming little 3D platformer where you just got to run around, whip slash bad guys with your tail, save the Gobos and collect crystals and other little gems. There's not much more to it than that. You just go from level to level, just doing all this type of stuff, and if you collect all of the main coloured gems throughout the level, at the end of the level you'll open up a bonus door which will enable you then to get more Gobos and that kind of jazz. It's pretty straightforward, but it's got a lot of charm. It's a lot of fun. I first saw it on Games Master in the 90s. See if any of you people remember that program. It's just such a fun little platformer. Like I still play it from time to time. Well, a lot really. I don't mind starting again from the beginning again and again because I love those first few levels. The music is charming. Croc himself is just like a really cool character. A lot of people had a lot of beef with the way he controlled, but to be perfectly honest, it didn't really bother me, as I'm used to tank controls from the 90s and they never bothered me then and they don't bother me now. But Croc, the Legend of the Gobos is still a fantastic little 3D platformer. Tomb Raider 2 is the 1997 sequel to the 1996 first outing for Lara Croft in Tomb Raider. The game broke a lot of boundaries in being one of the first 3D platformers in the way that it was, with doing puzzles, shooting enemies, and just running around in a 3D space. It really was a big jump. But Tomb Raider 2 is another game like Croc that I saw on Games Master, and I watched a couple of guys play through the first China Wall level and then the first Tibet level, and I thought it looked mind-blowingly amazing. I'm going to make a separate video on Tomb Raider 2 specifically, because the story on how I saw it and then how I got it and then playing through it is there's some embarrassing moments that I want to talk about, because I was just a very naive kid. I was very young when this game came out, and by the time my family was able to afford to buy it for me, I still remember going to Toys R Us to grab it. I think it must have been 98, or just after a year of its release. But nevertheless, Tomb Raider 2 is my favourite Tomb Raider, and will just always remain that way. I think it's just an incredible platformer and puzzle game and action game and shooting game. Whatever you want to call it, that just Lara Croft kicks all types of ass here. It builds upon the mechanics of the first game, adds in new ones, and it's just got some amazing levels.
Pardon me, if that was just your way of trying the doors for me.
With a Tommy gun on my keyring.
Though not anymore.
Dragon Valor was developed by Namco and released in 1999, and it's an action role-playing game with the side-on view, but it's not just, you're not stuck to just going forwards and backwards. You can go up and down, Streets of Rage kind of style, and you can collect magic spells and items and other such nonsense, and it's actually played over 2 discs, so the game is pretty lengthy, and you do get to level up and whatnot, so the RPG elements are definitely there. It's a game that I missed when it originally came out. I didn't really know about it until these last few years. It is quite it's pricey if you want to pick it up physically. It's roughly around 50 quid here in the UK, 40 to 50 quid on eBay for the black label version of the game, but you know, if you're a game collector and you're into that kind of stuff, go for it. The gameplay is pretty cool. The combos you can pull off with the hacking and the slashing, and then depending on directional inputs and jumping and whatnot, you can do really cool slashes upwards, juggle them in the air and slash back down again. Yeah, it's nothing too phenomenal, but it's a game I think is absolutely worth picking up, and it's pretty fun to play, so it definitely does kick some ass. What can I say about Medal of Honor that has not already been said? It was released in 1999 and it was developed by DreamWorks Interactive, published by Electronic Arts, and the story was actually created by, you know, the famous film director Steven Spielberg, which was really awesome. It kind of came off the back of the popularity of Saving Private Ryan and World War II films in the late 90s, and the game is just very atmospheric with the music, the locations in France, just the visceral, like the mechanics of the enemies, like where you shoot them, they kind of moved to the area, you could shoot their helmets off. It was all very new and all very like awesome. There had been first-person shooters before Medal of Honor, but I'd argue and say Medal of Honor is probably the best first-person shooter on the PS1, obviously with the PS1's technical limitations. But Medal of Honor now is still a lot of fun to play, like I said, with the music, the sound effects, the atmosphere. It's just a hell of a lot of fun to play, and even the multiplayer 1v1 with a friend was hilarious. Of course, the view distance isn't very large, so you've got like a fog a few feet from you, but I suppose that just adds to the charm of the technology of the day, maybe. But yes, Medal of Honor is still an absolutely incredible old style first person shooter on the PS1. Bushido Blade was released in 1997 and was developed by Lightweight. This was at the time, I think one of the most realistic, fighting games, because it's got like a body count system. So basically, so you've got a series of attacks depending on which button input you press, X, square, triangle, or circle. And if you hit the arms or legs and all that, you'll do some damage and whatnot. However, if you get them in the torso or the head, it's instant death. You don't have a life bar, and yeah, it's just very visceral. You can just be easily taken out, and you can easily take out enemies, and it was one of a kind when it was released, and it did get a sequel. Of course, unfortunately, the Bushido Blade series I don't think it's about anymore at all, which is a shame, because I think it's a really good game, and brought back with today's engines they have out there would be really cool. I think there was a game out there like it. I can't remember what it's called, but I've seen it. It's on PC. So it might be worth checking into if you're into that kind of realistic fighting game stuff. But Bushido Blade is such a good game, and it does actually have a story to it, and you can choose characters and choose then which sword you want to use, whether it's a katana or rapier. Yeah, just if you fancy something that's a bit more brutal, Bushido Blade has got you covered. Destruction Derby 2 is my favourite of the Destruction Derby games, so I skipped over the first one and just went for the second one, just a bit like I did with Tomb Raider earlier on in the video. And it is exactly what it says on the tin. It is Destruction Derby. You can just either have the Destruction Derby mode where you can all drive in together and smash the crap out of one another, or you can have races in some sort of like a career mode. The game is very difficult and does control pretty well, but like I said, the AI are savage. They will absolutely smash you from left to right, and usually I can't even finish a race. I still remember as a kid getting knocked about on this game when it was released in '96 by Psygnosis. They just it's depressing, but it's a lot of fun, because at the end of the day, what's better than just driving around and smashing the living shit out of other cars? It was great back when it came out, with the wheels flying off and all the damage being done to the car, of course, those kind of engines back in '96, and they were like, oh wow, this is really cool, there's damage, because obviously before that we didn't have it. But yeah, if you fancy something that's a bit more of an exciting racing game, then Destruction Derby 2 is where it's at. And for the final game, I'm detecting a bit of a pattern in my own tastes, but I'm going with Street Fighter Alpha 2. The Street Fighter franchise is one of my favourite, if not my favourite, fighting game franchise of all time. The Alpha Trilogy specifically, I prefer. I'd love a more modern, like a modern remake of all three smushed together. And you imagine the graphics of like Dragon Ball FighterZ, that anime-esque hand-drawn style, come in and being just glossed over on the Street Fighter Alpha Trilogy. Oh my god, it would look phenomenal. I know we had the Street Fighter collection with the Alpha games on it and stuff, but that's just taken what was already there and HD'd up. I'm talking about redoing it all, but I don't think Capcom likes money all that well, so they kind of just stick to the bare bones. But Street Fighter 2 Alpha plays incredibly well, looks amazing, and does have a decent challenge. I don't know what more I can say than that. It's Street Fighter. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Street Fighter. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Street Fighter Alpha, and I love Street Fighter Alpha 3, but I don't know, Street Fighter Alpha 2 just kind of sits there with a perfect blend of being able to do special attacks and the blocking in midair, which is great. So if you're advancing via leaping towards the enemy, you can then just block in midair if they're trying to get you. Something that I do sorely miss in like Street Fighter 5, for example. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. This is another list of games I thought were awesome. I will be coming out with more of them. I have another one in the works as we speak. So hopefully I shall catch you on that one. But again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.